welcoming me. Like Camille mentioned, my name is Sarah Tueller. I am the program coordinator at Idaho Parents Unlimited, and I am grateful for this opportunity to share with you how we can help our students become and live as independently as possible, for how that looks in their life and in their family and your family. So what can life look like for my child when they become an adult? I think we start thinking about that as soon as our kiddos are born sometimes, right? I know that when I first had my kiddos, I thought they were going to live with me forever. And I thought they were going to live with me forever. I didn't want them to grow up. I heard all the time parents say, I can't wait for them to be 18 and 18 and grow up and move out. But 18 is such a short amount of time. And, we want to keep them forever, sometimes. And it goes by so fast. And I know our kids, I know that when I was growing up, I didn't want to live with my parents forever. And so remembering that and how to honor that in our kids' lives is hard, and especially when we have kids that are have special healthcare needs or challenges along the way in their life. So we created this workshop so that we can help families learn to or share some of our experiences as we embark on that life for kind of helping our kids launch for them and for us as parents, and understanding and kind of figuring out how to be ready for that. My son is 17 and a half. He'll be 18 in August. He accesses his education in the resource room in the West Ada School District. And I am struggling with that launching of life and how that's going to look for him. So we're going to share as we move through this some of experiences that each of our staff have gone throughout this, and potentially pull together some thoughts for you as you move through this experience as well. So how do we do that? How do we begin to even consider or think about what life is going to look like for our kids, what we think it should look like, but most importantly, what our kids, what our student or individual wants it to look like. And that's a big ask, right? So we first thought about this, and through a lot of research and experience, took a step back and looked at it in a different light, and thought about what is it that we don't want for our kids. We have taken the lens of the person-centered thinking and looked at it and talked to our own kids about what is it that you don't want in your future? What do you not want to happen? What do you not want to see? And started to write some things down. Talking to our kids early about what their hopes and dreams are, and really tried to kind of craft some ideas and brainstorm some thoughts. What do your kids want for their future? What are their desires and goals? And what do they hope to do? And knowing that and thinking that and remembering that it's going to change as we grow and move through this process, and that we're probably going to fall down a lot. And we're going to fall down as parents a lot. We're going to cry. We're going to celebrate little successes, and we're going to celebrate the big successes, but we're going to take it one step at a time. Sometimes we're going to take it one moment at a time, or one half a second at a time, but we're going to be able to do this. We're going to do it together, and we're going to help craft that pathway, right? But it all begins with that vision. Some people write it, some people draw it, and some people just think it. But planning for that future means we talk about these transition to adulthood activities early on. I used to teach preschool, and when I would work with my preschoolers, everyone had a job. Everyone had a purpose in my classroom. Everyone felt part of the classroom, and we talked about the community and how each person had a position in the class and a job in the class and a responsibility in the community of that classroom and in our life and in our city and in wherever we were. We had to take responsibility of where we were at, and we talked about how that might look as we moved through our life and grew up. But we started talking about those everyday things in our life that made us part of a community, and we started to explore how that fit within our cultures, within our lives, within our families, and we were able to start to mold these little minds of these independent lives. And even in our kids with special health care needs and disabilities, my son has very significant needs. He uses a wheelchair. He is nonverbal, has a feeding tube, still needs assistance for all daily living. He will always have someone who has to help him do everything: eat, go to the restroom, take a shower, brush his teeth. All of those things will require someone to help him, but he always had a purpose and a job in our family. He always was part of the community no matter where we were, and we would talk about that. And lo and behold, this sweet little boy does not want to live with his mom forever. So that was a hard thing for me to hear, hard thing for me to believe, and most importantly, a hard thing for me to honor him, for him, and trust that all of these things that we were teaching him, I had to also follow through with and honor and respect. So what is independent living? So it's a philosophy that emphasizes consumer control, that people with disabilities are the experts in their own needs, and having that valuable perspective to contribute however it is that it meets the most need for their life, their safety, and their independence. Some of our family members are going to live independently, but they're going to require someone to live with them in their home, perhaps in our home with us as parents. But however that independence looks is going to look different for any of us. And starting to think about that and making some notes and making a map and making starting to write these things down is going to be critical in understanding how to do that and how to make this look. But noting that independent living doesn't mean our kiddos are going to turn 18 one day and we're going to throw them to the wolves. Independent living is really giving our individuals the opportunity to make decisions for themselves. That's independence. Giving them the right to access their own thoughts, their own decisions, to live and work and take part in community activities, however they want to do that, right? And they can live wherever they want, as long as we're giving that choice and respect for them to make those decisions. So I'm going to move ahead. Actually, okay, we're going to go back. I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about a little story real quick. I'm trying to keep an eye on the time. But Angela, our executive director, and I have permission to share this story because she would share the story if she was doing this presentation. Her daughter lives in a house with a roommate, and she is similar to Truman, aside from a feeding tube and a wheelchair, but she requires assistance 24 hours a day, as does her roommate. They both have supported living staff that work. They don't live in the home. They work in the home, work in that home that the girls rent from their parents, who purchased the home, and they are they're in their 20s, and they live in this home. They do not live with their parents, and they have staff that support them in all of their daily living activities. and the girls get to do and live in the community, make choices on what they want to do, all while having this 24-hour support and guidance and support. But these girls get to do what they want to do, and they are at the highest level of support and need, and so there are options for all of our kiddos. I have used this example in my own head as I think about and consider what it might look like for my son to be able to have that independence, and for me to have some independence too as he grows up and moves on into his life, because we are not going to be there forever, right? That's sometimes a hard thing to think about, and which is one of the things that we do need to consider as we move our kiddos into their own lives. And we want to expect high things from them, and from ourselves. And that is one of the things that I admire most about our executive director, is that it's not always a perfect situation. It's not always a perfect day, but the girls love each other and they love to live in their own home. Angela's daughter will come to Angela's house and visit, and then she'll be ready to go back to her own house. And it's pretty cute how she's done with the visit. She went to her mom's house and her mom and dad's house for dinner, and it's time to go home. She's ready to go back and be independent and live in her home. And she had a great visit. And so I love that. And she's been independent, and Angela has, and her husband have taught her that independence from the beginning. They taught her how to make her own decisions and choices. And they've honored that as she's grown up and grown into this amazing independent woman. Was it always easy? Probably not. Did they make a lot of mistakes? All of them? Absolutely. I know I do every day. But it has created these opportunities for the girls and the families to make these choices and grow as a family, as a couple, and as as individual women. These are some tools that we talk about when we are explaining how to create that independence in our kiddos at a young age, especially for ours who are nonverbal and have many different people coming in and out of their lives. This is a little snapshot of an example of a snapshot or a resume that we have found. I use this for my kiddo, and I provide a lot of pictures of my son doing activities in the community, because I like to share his life through pictures. He likes to share how he enjoys life in the community, at school, however. But it just explains some of the things that that our kiddos like to do, what works for them, what might not work, what we want for our kids, what our kids want, and then what they love. And this can change every year. This is mine is laminated and put it's actually smaller. It's like a 4x6, and I like to keep it in his wheelchair. I probably need to update it, but I like to keep it in his wheelchair so that anyone that's working with him can pull it out and learn about him. And he can carry it around and share it as he wants to share it as well. Terms to be aware of when we're talking about learning and teaching about independent living is that person-centered planning. This Department of Health and Welfare does a series of trainings on person-centered planning. Supported decision making is another term that we hear often. That is how we help our individuals make decisions with support and guidance, self-determination, and there and there's some other workshops in here on guardianship and alternatives to guardianship. So there are different pathways to managing and helping our individuals manage important decisions after they become adults. Not everyone needs to be their child's guardian. There are different ways of providing guardianship. But the Disability Rights Idaho does an amazing job at explaining all of the different alternatives to guardianship. You can have conservatorship, and it really just depends on what is best for your family, what's going to work for your individual. And again, it's a family decision. Not one way has to be the only way, or the right way, or the wrong way. You're going to probably hear a lot of opinions from people, but please keep in mind that you don't have to pick one way and stick with it forever. You can change and make change. It's all of these decisions and all of these things are going to change throughout our kiddos' lives and their adult lives. One thing I will make note of, that guardianship is that one is difficult to it's a process. So when we're discussing getting guardianship of our individual, we can talk more about that in person or on an individual basis, but that is there's a certain process and legal fees that go into that. And I'm sure some of us have looked into that, but I would be happy to talk to you about that more. Here are a few other things that we talk about in shaping that living environment when we are looking at creating that plan. So these are all just ideas to spark some thought in you all. No one plan is going to work for everyone. So I wish I had this great magical tool to give you, but these are just all of the things to consider. We have a book, it's a Building a Bridge binder that has all sorts of these ideas in it as well. You can write your thoughts down. Your student or your child can write their thoughts down, ideas on what they might want to do moving forward in their life, that where they want to live, what they're thinking. Do they want to have roommates as they think about moving out of the house, or do they even want to move out of the house? Some of our kiddos want to live with us forever. Is that something that we want? What type of home do we want? There are all sorts of resources out there to explain what a certified family home is, or what supported living is, or a group home is. There's so many options available. So starting to think about that, what renting from an outside source, or renting from the family, or how are we going to pay for that? Are we going to have a job? All of these things are things to consider and start to make note of and how we're going to do that. But these might be some ideas of how to start to think about crafting that plan or vision board of what life can look like for our kids. I need to start doing this as well, and I'm actually kind of procrastinating because I'm in denial, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't know what to do. It's a very overwhelming feeling, and it's a very overwhelming task, and I know it's going to change throughout the next 6 months, and it's going to probably change for years after that. But I'm terrified, and I don't mind sharing that. Here are some other concerns, but what I really want to point out here is that this is Angela's daughter up here living her best life. She is enjoying her community with her supports and services that that she's having the best time of her life in her therapy, and she's swimming. She has the best time. Her staff sends pictures to Angela and messages to Angela all the time about the exciting things that she's doing every day. And that's one of the ways you can access and the independent living services as well. Whatever pathway or way you choose. I'm trying to hurry up. I'm looking at my clock here and trying to give you guys as much information as I can, without running over time, because we can go through all of these. But these are some things and concerns to keep in mind when deciding what path to choose, what social opportunities are available in the community, what are the financial concerns and plans, are savings accounts, what is an ABLE account, employment, what is long-term care going to look like, how about transportation. I'm really overwhelming everyone, and I would love to help you on an individual basis. Anyone in our office can help walk through this on a more simple individual basis and talk about your concerns as we move through these. But these are just some of the things that we think about, and we help families walk through and understand when we're putting together some plans. There's the State Independent Living Council. I'm going to move through that because these are coming up. We don't need to talk about these, but independent living plans and independent living advisors come through us from our state independent living centers. And in our area, we have the Living Independent Network Corporation link, and that's just the same slide, which is right here, Living Independent Network Corporation, linkidaho.org. And they are one of the presenters here as well. But they have independent living advisors that can also help create plans for our youth and individuals who are moving on to their adult life and wanting to know more information about that. You can connect with us. We can help create some of these plans as well, or at least give you guys some ideas on where to begin. I'd be happy to send you our Building a Bridge binder. And I need to give you this other link here. I'm going to do a new share. We have a Padlet. Where did my Padlet go? I think it's here. Okay. I'm going to do this share here. This is our Padlet for our transition to adulthood. So hopefully you can see this. It's a link to all of our transition to adulthood resources that have this presentation. It's got our healthcare presentation we did at Tools for Life. It's our transition, the Road to Transition a guide from the Department of Health and Welfare. So this is a Padlet. It has all sorts of different resources, all transition to adulthood, from employment, independent living. Oops, I don't want that open. Close. Oops. Okay. Sorry, I just hit a button with my finger. But I would be happy to email anyone that. Oh, perfect. It's in the chat. That is the greatest resource and has all of the information, probably all of the information that all of the other presenters have here as well, because we work with them too. So now I am just rambling, and